Just like a business, being a full-time artist will require you to pay for certain tasks to be completed, whether it's recording, mixing, graphics, videos, ads, or any other promotional content. But early on, it's easy to get carried away with spending too much money at once, which can lead you to going broke and losing all the progress that you were trying to make. So today, we're going to discuss what you should be spending your money on as an artist. Hey guys, my name is Bram and I'm the owner of 45 Creations. On this channel, our goal is to provide helpful tips on how to succeed as a full-time musician. So if you like what you see and hear, please click the like and subscribe button to keep up with all of our latest videos. It's extremely important in the beginning of your musical career to be as cost-effective as possible while at the same time still producing quality music and content for your brand. Of course, different people have different budget restraints, so I think the best way to suggest what you should spend your money on is first the bare essentials, and then discuss the progression after you've covered your bases. As a musician, the absolute first thing you should be spending your money on is your recordings. You can't cut corners on recording quality, so this is where your first expense should go. And you might be asking yourself, how much should I spend on my recordings? And that question's a tough one because, like I said earlier, everyone has a different budget that they're working in, along with what type of music you're doing. The less instruments and moving parts you have in a song will make the overall cost go down, but at the same time, you should never cut out an instrument of a recording based solely off of the cost to record it. If your song requires 2 guitars, bass, keys, drums, and 2 vocalists, then it's better to wait and save up the money to get that recording done. Plus, if you're in a big enough band, you can always have each person cover the cost of their recording to help spread out the payload. And then for ballpark numbers on studio times, I can give you an example from the studios I've worked with here in Indianapolis. I've seen prices range from $40 to $75 an hour, but that's just for the room. Then you'll also need a recording engineer in studio with you, which those costs sometimes are included in the room, or they can be an additional cost. And I've talked about this in a previous vlog, but most of what the overall cost comes down to is how prepared you are to go into the studio and track your song. The more practiced and prepared you are to play to a click track, the faster you can be in and out of the studio. Then you also have to take into account the mixing and mastering process, which can range depending on who you work with. So then once you've completed your song at the highest quality your budget will allow, then the next step would be to have some type of cover art for either the single or the album that you're making. Different genres have different standards when it comes to these, but just like the recording itself, the album art plays an important role in how people view the song. It sounds superficial, but some people won't give your song or album a chance if the album art is poorly made or doesn't make sense for the genre that you're in. For this, I'd always suggest hiring an artist that you like to get it done. Album art costs can range depending on how complex your vision is, but I've seen costs from anywhere from $150 all the way up to several $1,000s, depending on what type of artist you work with. Take your time and shop around on different sites and social media searches to find the right person for your vision. And I create album art as well, so if you'd like to hire me or ask for advice on where to go for your project, please send us a message at 45 Creations on either Facebook or Instagram, and I'll be happy to help you. After you have both the song and the album art created for the track or album, then the next step would be to have proper distribution across as many streaming platforms as you can. Surprisingly enough, I still see bands that don't use a service like DistroKid or CD Baby to put out their music and only have a song with 1 or 2 platforms that it's on. With today's standards, if you're not on as many streaming platforms as possible, you're really missing out because not everyone wants to listen to music on Spotify or Apple Music, and there's hundreds of streaming services out there for fans to choose from. The distribution company that I personally use for Global Plague is called DistroKid. It's fairly easy to navigate on the page, and if you sign up for the unlimited distribution plan, it's currently $35.99 for a year's subscription, which is affordable if you're consistently putting out music for the year. There's plenty of other distribution options to choose from, so the most important thing is that you find out what you like and what's the most affordable to get your music out on as many platforms as you can. And once you sign up for your distribution service, a good rule of thumb is to pick your release date to be at least 6 weeks in advance so that your song can make it to all the stores in time, since some services take longer to get your song approved and placed on the store. And along with that point leads us into the next thing you should be spending your money on, which is social media marketing. I've gone into more detail on social media strategies in a previous episode, but if you haven't seen that, what a social media marketing plan is a collection of content and posts that you'll execute before and after your release to help get as much attention to it as possible. And I think this is where people start to get really carried away with costs because there's a lot of different avenues you can go down with this. The first thing I recommend to my clients when creating content for a social media campaign is to figure out what you can cover artistically on your end first before shelling out money for promo materials. If it's just simple graphics or videos that you make yourself to help push the song, as long as they look professional, you can probably do a lot of the work yourself if you take the time to understand your brand and reference other work that other musicians have done. There's services like Canva where you can make graphics and posters for little to no cost. And then with promo videos, if you have a decent camera or the latest iPhone, you can get stable footage, and if you can get a good audio signal, there's simple and effective ways to create your own content. But the hard part about this is not everyone is going to know or want to learn how to do this stuff themselves, which then leads to sloppy work or bands just giving up on content in general. If you get to the point where you realize it would be better to hire a designer to create these materials for you, just think about the bare essentials. I would say video content should always be a priority because most people like to watch and are more willing to engage with video content. Photo and graphic content is great too to have in the mix, but as a musician, having video promos of live footage from the studio, from previous shows, or showing behind the scenes of what the band is like really helps people get into a deeper attachment with you and your music. A simple way to capture video content is while you record in studio or do something, just set up your camera or your phone and press record. Every time that we record Global Plague songs, I always set up my camera in the corner, and then at the end I use that on our social media pages, and that's usually our most engaged content. Other video promo ideas could be simple animations, compilation footage of shows, or whatever you think is going to be the best way to represent your brand. Hiring a videographer for more high-quality content like live recorded sessions or shows would be your best investment since you can make multiple promos with that footage and always reference back to those times. And usually when you have a videographer on your team, you can also get some pictures during filming sessions or screenshots from the footage to use that for further promotion. Photo shoots of the band, pictures from shows, or anything that's relevant in the songwriting and creation process is key and will help push the community aspect for your fans since they get to see the personal sides of you while you create the music you like. Then once you've gone through video and photo content, if you have extra money left over, graphics would also help push the music. And the reason why I put this last is because if you can afford to have a graphic designer make posters, flyers, and other types of graphic content, that's great, but you always want to make sure that you have the most engaging types of content first, which would be the video and photo stuff. Then usually, if a band has covered all of those types of content ideas, they start to think about ads for their social media pages. I've ran ads on my business pages and music pages, but honestly, what I found out in the beginning is that it's not really going to do much for you unless you have a large spending budget and really know what you're doing in terms of targeting the right audience. And even if your Facebook or Instagram posts get thousands of impressions, that doesn't necessarily mean those people will translate over to listening to the music on streaming services or buying merch. The best advice I can give on the social media aspect, which is mentioned in a previous video, is staying consistent with posting and actually taking the time every day to like, comment, and follow posts of fans or other musicians in your genre to help build the community and keep moving your page forward. We've seen success with this on the Global Plague Instagram page, but that's also because we've covered all the design bases and are constantly connecting with new fans every day and have been for months. With these 4 main expenses covered, you'll be set up for a decent push and marketing plan for your releases. The big thing is to continue to push and connect with people online, and in the beginning, anything else outside of those 4 points are going to be extra money that you probably shouldn't be using. Music is a long journey and usually takes bands years to really build an organic fan base, so take each step day by day and make sure whatever money you are spending on your project makes sense for the stage that your band is at.